Cheerio, and welcome to our second annual episode of Flix and a Whisk, the classier and more refined cousin of Flix and a Six. I'm one of your hosts, Alessandro Bielsi. With me, forever and always, the man, the myth, the sound of pleasure, Anthony Costanzo.
Charmed, I'm sure.
On this week's episode, we'll be incorrectly predicting this year's Oscar winners, but first, what are we drinking?
Oh, we have some lovely treats this evening. For you, I have Muckley Spirits. Small batch of the finest
lovely.
quality. Handmade in New Jersey. Not Old Jersey. Straight rye whiskey. Limited
I
release.
believe we call it Jersey.
Whiskey. I can't do this anymore. Limited
No,
release.
I didn't expect us to keep doing the accent past.
I felt so much pressure when you threw it to me for what we're drinking. This is what I'm drinking. Al doesn't have this. He'll have this on Oscar Sunday.
Nice.
So, sorry, we have Muckley small batch spirits of the finest quality. All of this is on the bottle. Distilled with enthusiasm.
Oh.
Okay? Handmade in New Jersey.
Is there any other way to distill?
How does one distill with enthusiasm? Do you just, cheer it on? While you're waiting?
Any other way to distill.
So this is a straight rye whiskey. All products are crafted with joyous, white-knuckled enthusiasm and exuberant pride. Our spirits are bottled under government law number 003, batch 1218. The Spirit of Proclamation, produced and bottled by the Colt's Neck Stillhouse Company. Kim and I went to this distillery a few days ago, and there were some tremendous drinks on the menu. The one that I had was the Ragnarok.
That was the one you sent me and Brian the other day, right?
That's right. All the drinks were named after movies or characters, which was tremendous. And man, was it a treat. So I bought a bottle.
That one caught my eye immediately. It looked good.
Oh, it was so good. And here's the thing. Here's how you know a place is classy. This place was classy enough for this episode. The ice, crystal clear, giant cubes. Which means that they went through the process, I imagine, of freezing it in a larger block so that the sediment would settle, and doing it slowly, probably through some rubberized contraption that slows the cooling, and then had to chisel away the imperfected ice. And I'm sure there's a machine that does this, but
you probably just rinse it, right?
No, it's not. There's something, I was reading about this. I went down a rabbit hole, and I imagine you just have to use distilled water, I would imagine, to get it to be perfectly clear like that.
That's probably true.
You also have to freeze it slowly so that it doesn't crack and crystal inside of the cube, which is any ice that you have has imperfections, and it looks right. This was I can't even the presentation of this drink, Al, was so unreal that. It was a large rocks glass with this giant perfect cube in the middle and the liquor swirling around it. And because the ice was so big and swirling around it, you could see right through it. It was almost like a donut, but that ice would move and the clear section, it was crazy. It was really screwing with my head. So we'll go there, is what I'm saying.
Sounds good to me.
Maybe we'll go before the show.
Oh, it's funny. You were saying how it was distilled with enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And it reminded me, I was watching this week's episode of Curb, and Larry grabs an apple out of his lawyer's, little, fruit, bowl. And so, the lawyer is a new character this season. He might have been in the last season, I don't remember. But I know him, he's been a recurring character, the same actor's been a recurring character on Billions for a while. And, so, he's, they've been having these weird standoffish thing, there's a private bathroom in the lawyer's office, and he doesn't want to let Larry use the bathroom, and then Larry sneaks in and uses the bathroom on a separate occasion, and they're going before a deposition, and he's under oath, and the lawyer's asking him if he ever used the bathroom. So this time he gets up, things are getting more and more serious. He had a sexual assault allegation, which I don't want to make light of, despite the fact that the show is. And he goes, they're getting serious, and it's clear that he's trying to look for something to deflect from the seriousness. So he sees the apple sitting there, and he grabs an apple, and he's eating the apple, and the lawyer's trying to tell him not to, but kind of half-heartedly. So he's eating the apple, and they're talking about what the next step in this process is, and he goes, "Could you stop eating the apple for a second? I don't feel like you're taking this seriously because you're eating that apple so blithely." And he goes, "Am I eating the apple blithely?" He goes, "I didn't." He goes, "Oh, there are a lot of different ways that you can eat an apple." He goes, I think I've only ever eaten apples like blithely or something like that. He goes, no, my dad used to eat. My dad ate a lot of angry apples. Okay. To talk about the different modes and methodologies of eating apple.
Amazing. When you said blithely, all I could think of to blame. So what are you
anyway,
drinking?
I'm drinking 5 and 20 Spirits' rye whiskey. It's a small batch from a small
Look at
barrel.
us. Uncoordinated rise. I love it.
Yeah.
Hey.
Well, I love
Hey.
her. I'm a rye guy.
Look at us.
Who would have thought?
Look at
Not me. And we did not plan this at all.
No.
90 proof. It's got some sort of mathematical equation on the front.
Ooh, you have to solve that before you can open the bottle?
Well, I don't know because it's all variables. It's parentheses SB, parentheses close, squared, RW. So I don't know what that means, but I'm assuming it's...
Small batch rye whiskey.
Small batch, small barrel, SB squared. That's what it is.
Boom!
Rye whiskey.
We solved it. You can open it now and drink now.
This is batch number 005 from bottle number 1230. Aged for a minimum of 18 months, we're proud to present this carefully handcrafted creation of small batch, small barrel rye whiskey. We've worked with local farmers near our distillery in Westfield, New York, to grow, harvest, and prepare the ingredients. The outcome of our work is your unforgettable drinking experience. Come taste with us at our grain-to-glass location, nestled between routes 5 and 20 in Lake Erie's wine country.
Man, I can't get over this. Local rice, beautiful stories. It's almost as if we planned this, which we only half did. Like, as in, we planned to not do this with beer and a single movie tonight. That was the extent of the planning.
Which was a pretty easy plan, considering it's exactly what we did last year for Oscar pre-show.
Yeah.
Let's cheers and have a little sip.
Cheers, sir. Yes. Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
This is so good. I can't wait for you to try this.
I mean, I'm pretty excited.
It's so good.
I've had this one before. This was a gift for my birthday this year, I think, from my brother. So,
nice.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty tasty. Yeah. I'm a fan.
This one has like that perfect. Well, what I love about rye is that little bit of spiciness, right?
I too love that.
But perfectly balanced with sweet.
Yes.
Sometimes you get a rye that
mine's
has
a little
no
maltier
sweet.
than some of my other ryes that I've had.
Nice. I'm gonna have to try that one too. But this one has like just the right amount of sweetness mixed with more of that spice, where you have like that really warm feeling after you take the sip. It's just so nice. It's just like,
oh yeah,
this is a sit back and be quiet and sip on something about mahogany. You know?
something mahogany. Yeah, there you go. You know? Merlin Olsen, rest in peace.
But no, this is quite the treat. I'm really happy right now, Al. I got rye.
Yeah, me too.
I got my cuz. The Oscars are Sunday.
Well,
just got back from the movies with my wife.
Before we get into Oscars
really
talk, what's that?
Just got back from the movies with my wife. It's really just it's a great night.
Perfect. Yeah. Plus, some of that movie was for your Oscars homework, right?
Oh, 100%. I was finishing up.
Yeah. Okay. Before we get to Oscars talk, Spin Tune has a lot of cool things going on. Some of those things we will keep secret and surprise for a hopefully soon to be revealed time and place. That was a terrible sentence. You got the picture.
Words.
On the Spin Tune, on the actual Spin Tune website, I tried my hand at ranting this week because I usually leave the rants to Anthony and Brian. I do my ranting on this show.
Right.
I don't typically do it in the written word, but I ranted a bit. I think on a worthy topic. What did you think? Did you concur?
I concur.
My rants were about video games, microtransactions, in-game purchases. I'm not a fan for the most part, but I get why they have to exist. Let's just be better, you know?
Yeah, be better.
I had this month's retro review was my work. It was on Lucky Number 11, which I love that movie. Did you ever get a chance to watch that?
Not yet, no. And I'm actually holding off on reading yours until I watch it. Can I read it without watching it?
Yes. Only the lightest of spoilers. I got into it and I was like, you know what? This is the type of movie that it doesn't bear writing the spoilers because it's a movie that you really should experience once. I won't say it's the most mind-blowingly
It's
twisted
a good movie,
but it's a legitimately good movie that should be experienced blind. You know what I mean?
Love it.
Without for spoiling.
Kind of like a Free Fire.
Yeah. I mean, not exactly, but yeah. Well, I mean, there are some similarities in the sense that it tells a really strong story with a handful of compelling characters in literally 90 minutes.
Perfect.
And
tight.
You know what? Yeah, it is tight because it doesn't feel like it's rushed. So
nice.
And like it could have been longer if it wanted to be, and it would have still been a very good movie, but didn't need to be.
Nice.
And then Friday will be Brian's monthly mobile game report.
That guy plays so many games, it breaks my brain.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, well, he plays games the way that I crush TV shows.
That's fair.
So, anyway, before we get into Oscars talk, I will put a disclaimer. I did not see all the Best Picture nominees this year, but unlike last year, I saw most of them. Yes. I did see all of them. Yeah, Ant saw all 10 of them like he was supposed to, like he did last year. Or is it 10 or is it 9? I forget.
I think it's 9.
Okay, I know they have up to 10, right?
Something like that.
I saw all but 2, unlike last year where I saw only 2. But before we get into the actual nominees talk, let's talk about this story that came out a couple of days ago. This is on IndieWire. The Academy baffles everyone after seemingly posting its own 2020 Oscar predictions. Sorry, Anthony's reaction was noteworthy. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences boasts 3.4 million followers on Twitter, and it left many of them scratching their heads Monday night after posting a since-deleted photo of Oscar predictions that made it appear like the organization was making its own personal picks for Sunday night's awards ceremony. The photo was titled, "My Oscar Predictions," and included picks such as Parasite for Best Picture, Sam Mendes for Best Director for 1917, Parasite for Best Original Screenplay, and Jojo Rabbit for Adapted Screenplay. That the Academy's apparent picks lined up so closely with many Oscar pundits' predictions led to confusion online over whether or not the Academy had accidentally released the Oscar winners early. After all, anything is possible after the infamous La La Land Moonlight Best Picture gaffe in 2017.
It was a publicity stunt because people weren't watching the Oscars, okay? Let's move on.
Yeah, the Academy took down the photo and issued a response. We had invited fans on Twitter to make and share your own hashtag Oscar predictions. A ton of you already have. A brief issue on Twitter made some of yours look like they came from our account. They didn't. This error is now resolved, and we'll reveal our picks on Sunday.
I literally just watched this episode of Veep where she blames China for her tweets.
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
You're not getting me, Oscars.
Earlier in the day, the Academy launched a social media feature on Twitter called the Oscars Prediction Experience that allows any of its 3.4 million followers and more to make their personal predictions for the 92nd Academy Awards. The photo the Academy tweeted was allegedly the overall results from the predictions that were submitted. The screw-up was in presenting fan predictions without context so that it appeared the Academy was releasing its own Oscar predictions instead.
Just don't, like, how did this... No, this is stupid. This is really stupid. How did this happen? Did somebody get fired?
I don't know. This was on Monday. I haven't read to see if there's any follow-up to it.
Somebody has this. It's also, like, you know, forever imprinted on the internet.
Yeah, well, in this article, they screen grabbed the tweet and the picture of the prediction. So if they end up being across the board, then we'll know what happened, and people will talk about it that night.
Like a pre-crossed off bingo card. That's what's happening right now.
Yeah,
we should play Oscars bingo. Why are we not doing this?
That's a good question.
All right, I'll make that happen.
I was just saying, there's still time.
There is.
Oh wait, who will be attending the party this year?
You?
Is it me?
Yeah. I'm gonna ask Brian too, but I'm not sure if anybody else is gonna come.
Let's say we went from like a few years ago. There was probably like 6 or 7 guests to like over the course of years, and it was like me, Carly, and Marie, and then it was like me, Carly, and I think it's going to just be me now. It looks like.
Yeah, potentially. Marie's out of town. I don't know if Carly's gonna make it. Maybe we'll get Chris for listeners of the shit show back in the day. The guy that eats the tacos, he might be around, so we might get him. But yeah, I have to reach out to Brian. I'll try to make it work. I'll try to get more people so that we can have a real fun Oscar bingo game going.
Yeah, I don't think Chris is going to be the intended audience for this.
That's fine.
Just a hunch. Although he did really like that tweet we sent out from the account the other day. Yeah, but I don't feel like he loves Oscar movies, though.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Did you see that?
No.
The one that you didn't see the one I sent out. He responded to it was oh, so that's a shame because I guess I'm going to be spoiling this. What could technically still be considered a surprise. I snagged the brand new can release from Newberg, which will be featured on a episode soon.
I saw that. I saw the picture of that. That's all.
Oh, okay. Oh, you didn't see his well, no, because I did like a strike through of like coming soon to own on video and
nice
DVD, and I said, to a Flix of the 6 near you, and he goes, "Is it weird that I heard that voice in my head?" And I was like, "No, that was exactly what I wanted."
Well played. Well played.
Anyway, let's get to the stuff. We're doing it in an order. Don't worry about that order. We're going to be doing most of the big ones that interest us because we don't watch a ton of documentaries or animated films. So let's start with actor in a supporting role. We have Tom Hanks, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, Anthony Hopkins for The Two Popes, Al Pacino for The Irishman, Joe Pesci for The Irishman, and Brad Pitt for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So first.
And with that, we come to our first issue of the evening.
Okay. Oh,
because I just saw the winning performance for supporting actor this evening, and he is not on the list.
Oh, go on.
Timothée Chalamet. Give him all the Oscars. All of them.
He was in Little Women?
Yes.
Oh, I had no idea. Which I guess it makes sense because he was in Lady Bird.
Just give him the Golden Man. He's great. He's awesome. He played the character so well. He's so believable. He's so charming. He's dangerously charming. And it's just like I'm looking at this list, and I'm like, Tom Hanks, no one can ever be mad at Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks can be on the list in perpetuity, and if he wins all the time, fine. I'm okay with that. Anthony Hopkins, The Two Popes, I didn't see it. I'm assuming that if he's up for this, he's not phoning it in. He's been good in the past. He's been okay in the past. Whatever, not a big deal. Al Pacino and Joe Pesci. Now, we talked about The Irishman at length. Yes. The movie. We're gonna get there. I don't think the movie deserves to be up for Best Picture. I don't think either of those performances were incredible. Of the two of them, I would have picked Joe Pesci. I
agree. I thought he was better overall.
Yeah. Brad Pitt, fine. I'm not upset, but I'm also not like, ooh, he has to win. He probably would have been. He's probably, of the movies I saw on this list, he is my pick. But
yeah, I would say that Pitt both would be my pick of the 5 of them, and also I think is the most likely to win it.
Oh, 100%. He's gonna get it for sure.
Yeah, I think so too.
Absolutely. And I do think he was very good in that movie. There's just the more that I think about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, don't get me wrong, I love the movie. It's just like there's something going on with this list of movies this year, and it's just not a strong year in general, I don't think, for these awards. It doesn't feel great like it usually does to me.
I was gonna say it feels stronger than last year.
Well, that's true. It's been a minute since we've had like a really, really good one.
That year with like, was it Birdman and Grand Budapest, and there was something else too. Like that was a strong year.
What a treasure that movie is. Grand Budapest, not Birdman.
What? No, we've been over that ground.
Yeah, but seriously, like I implore you that this is going to be a reoccurring theme. Spoiler alert! I implore you to see Little Women, and Timothée Chalamet should be on this list.
One of these years, by years I mean hopefully in the next 6 months, I'm gonna sit down and watch the original Dune, so that I'm ready to see the new Dune.
Right, I'm with you. We'll do it together.
Plex so that eventually I can get to it.
Hey, sounds good.
Because otherwise I'm not going to.
We'll make it happen.
So it sounds like we're in agreement. Brad Pitt.
Yeah. I the only thing is I haven't seen A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. It's very likely that he should win, but of the ones that I've seen, I'll go with Brad Pitt.
Okay. And also you think that's the one who will win?
I do think that he's the one that will win. Yes.
That's our thing, right? Who would we pick and who we think will win?
Exactly. So I'm picking Brad, but I assume Brad will win.
Okay. I still think, what's his name? Since I didn't see Little Women, Timothée Chalamet, I still think that I totally forgot his name, and this is 0% chance I'm going to remember it. The guy from Parasite who played the father, Kim K-Tik,
Also should have been on there instead of... Okay.
Yeah, I absolutely think he should have been nominated. Anyway, on to actress in a leading role. We have Cynthia Erivo for Harriet. We have Scarlett Johansson for Marriage Story. We have Saoirse Ronan for Little Women. We have Charlize Theron for Bombshell. And Renee Zellweger for Judy.
So, this one's an easy one for me. It wasn't easy before this evening. This is going to be a reoccurring theme. Saoirse Ronan, 100% all the way. Give her the gold. It was an incredible performance. I really liked the movie. We're going to get into more on that later. Unfortunately, and I say that without having seen the movie, Renee Zellweger is going to get the Oscar for this. But Saoirse Ronan's my pick.
So today, I was reading a thing on The Hollywood Reporter. I guess they do this series over the course of the season where they talk to voters for the MPAA or whatever. No, not MPAA. The Academy.
MPA, Motion Picture Association? Or
yeah, no, wrong one. No, it was the Academies of Acting and Sciences or whatever. The Academy.
Okay.
They talk to different voters during the season anonymously and get what their ballot is. You know what I mean? And so they'll go on the record anonymously with who they're... And I strongly disagreed with the methodology this person chose to vote with because a lot of it was just really biased. It was one of them was like, oh yeah, I don't really like that type of movie, so that's not getting my vote. And I was like, what?
No.
Like, you do it based on the merits, like, whether you like the movie or not. And, like, listen, are we doing the most refined version of critiquing because of our personal biases against The Irishman? No, but, like, I just didn't think it was that great.
Like, I said Joe Pesci over him. You agreed. Like, we have a critique. It's just that in overall, the movie was not strong.
Yeah, I don't know. I just didn't like the way they were going. But the one thing this was the one that was like the most. Well, but see, in this category, it was like the weird like reasoning. They were like Saoirse Ronan was playing a character who was like 30 years old, but that's not what the age of the character in the book or something like that. So I can't vote for her because it's not believable. And like Marriage Story, like they had too nice of a house for an off-Broadway director and actress, so it's like not really a believable movie. And I was like, well. Okay, fine. It's like you know more about like the culture and like that's an unrealistic thing. So don't vote for it for best like original screenplay then. Like, but the performance is what the performance is. You know what I mean? Not to say that she should win it. I'm just saying like I reject that reasoning.
Yeah. You're right to.
But what the sum total of the thing was I think it was a woman actually who was running. I don't 100% remember. Chose Renee Zellweger. It was like. Not even close. This was the best performance in this category. I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. Mm-hmm. Oh, the other one was they were like, oh, yeah, I can't vote for Cynthia Erivo because it should have chosen an American actress to play that role, not a British actress. And I was like, you know what? Fine, fair enough. But she either performed it ably or she didn't. You know what I mean? Like,
you know what, though? No, not even fair enough. No, that's just a stupid statement to make. I don't get it.
No, it's a perfectly valid statement. It's not a perfectly valid reason to not vote for her.
People bother me. First off, Saoirse Ronan plays the same character at many ages in the movie, so that person didn't finish the movie. Second,
I may have been misremembering the blurb, but still.
Scarlett Johansson was my pick prior to seeing Little Women. I've never been a huge fan of Renee Zellweger. That's on me. I haven't seen the movie, but even if I wasn't her biggest fan and I saw the movie, I would be able to recognize whether or not the performance I believe should fit. And I've been adamant against movies that I don't think belong. And it wasn't because I hated the movie. It's because I didn't think they were Best Picture. We talked about Roma at length. Like that. I didn't think that was a good movie. If she's very good in the performance and I still am not a huge fan of hers, I would say, yeah, give her the award. Like it's not... Because we're able to separate what we want and what is deserving.
You know, you should have choking fits on whiskey more often during the show because you sound glorious right now.
Thank you. Is it raspy?
No, it's just like you have like it's like the sound quality of the microphone for whatever reason at the moment is picking up like your voice is like rich and resonant. I'm a fan.
All right, thank you. Great. Oh man, you are making me blush. I don't know if it's you or the rye.
That's a bit of both. Column A, column B. Unfortunately, I didn't see any of these roles, so I don't have an informed opinion.
Oh.
the only one of the actresses, I agree with you, I'm not a huge fan of Renee Zellweger in general. Didn't see the performance, so I can't rate her performance in this. I like all the other 4 actresses to some degree or other. I would just personally be rooting for Cynthia Erivo because she's just like exploded onto the scene in the last like 3 years.
Yeah.
I just think she's great in general. I thought she was really good in Bad Times at the El Royale. I thought she was really good in Widows. I feel like I saw her in something else too. I can't remember now. But
every time you say Bad Time at the El Royale, I go, man, that's a good movie. Like I just want it just comes back. It's a movie that's been put on the shelf. But anytime somebody says it, I'm like, oh, yeah, that came out. That was a good movie. That movie gets weird in the third act, and I love it.
Yeah, we like weird here.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. But I will say, from the clips that I've seen, like the sizzle reel clip stuff that they do of that performance in Judy, it does look like she like transformed into the role.
Yeah, it sounds like she's the clear front runner here. So. Yeah. I would expect that she will be the one who wins. So let's go on to Best Actor in a leading role. We have Antonio Banderas for Pain and Glory, Leonardo DiCaprio for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Adam Driver for Marriage Story, Joaquin Phoenix for Joker, and Jonathan Pryce for The Two Popes.
I've been thinking about this one a lot lately. First, let's get on the table. The probable winner is Joaquin Phoenix. He's been getting.
I was gonna say disagree. From what I've been seeing and hearing, no, Adam Driver.
Oh, I don't think he's gonna win this.
That's what I thought I was hearing a lot of buzz about. But I do think this is probably gonna be a close type of like it could go in any way here. I mean, like Jonathan Pryce isn't gonna win, but I've heard that he was great in this role. I think he's great in general.
Yeah, I think so too. I again haven't seen Two Popes, but I do like him. I don't have any strong positive or negative feelings about Antonio Banderas.
In general?
Yeah, like I can't really place a movie within the last 5 years that I've watched with him. I know that I've seen him in movies over and over again in the past, but
in the last 5 years, was he in Expendables in the last 5 years?
I have no idea.
I think he was. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's a fine actor. I mean,
he's fine. I've never been like blown away. But
the problem is I've never seen him in anything that like would have taken note of.
I think that's probably the issue here for me, is that I haven't seen him in like a performance where he was like really sinking his teeth into it. So it's again, it could just be like what I've seen him, like, you know, what I have to go on, and that's all I can go on. The only really serious thing I saw him in was Philadelphia, and that's almost 30 years ago, and he's pretty bit role in that. So yeah, Leo's fine. Leo's being Leo. I think it's again. I love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think it's a great movie. When I hear like all of these awards for it, like nominations for it, I'm like, huh. Like I liked it a lot. I just didn't think we were gonna get here with all of this praise. So he's not my pick. You know that I liked the Joker. I liked it a lot more than you and Gary did. Even so, there was something about it where I think the performance is really good. I think it's just for whatever reason. Again, I'm not compelled to vote that way. I really liked Adam Driver, and I've liked Adam Driver for a while now, and I thought he did a tremendous job in that movie in particular. And he would get my vote, but I do think Joaquin Phoenix is going to take the Oscar.
Well, as I said to Anthony before the show started, my Netflix, the app was just not working, and so I just basically rage quit Marriage Story. Only saw about 10 minutes of the movie, so I don't have an opinion, unfortunately. I have such a weird relationship with watching, like, with Adam Driver as an actor and a dude, because, like, did you see his SNL a couple weeks ago?
Yes. I've also been rewatching the clip on repeat of Ray talking to him and them cutting to him on the set doing this monologue and smiling really weird and getting really close to the camera. I don't know if you've seen this, but it's tremendous.
Yeah, I did. I saw it once. I have not seen it nearly as many times as you have.
It's just been reposted over and over again, and every time I click it because I love it.
No, that was funny. His monologue was good. I think actually, like low key, my favorite skit of that episode was the one where they were doing like the PBS show, and he's the high school teacher, and
yeah,
as he's just getting like more frazzled throughout the course of it, and when he storms off set at the end, and he says like, "Go to whatever," he goes, "I'm going to be screaming the C word into my shirt."
What comes first?
He goes, the guy. Definitely the guy.
What?
That was, I think, his funniest one on that episode.
Yeah. I was expecting a little bit more from the Undercover Boss sequel that they did, but the first one was actually really funny. The second one was okay.
Yeah, I think it was just... really the only part that got me with that one was when he decides that he's going to do good and like get the girl the pilot job, and then she goes, "What? No, I don't want to fly like Kylo Ren. I want to fly like Luke Skywalker."
Yep.
And then he stabs her. Then you'll die like him too. I was like, "Oh my god!"
Oh man, that was silly. He was in. I'm a fan of watching SNL. I also like the history of it, and he was. I feel like more than other hosts was in like every skit.
I think he was literally.
It was
in
crazy.
Everyone. With the exception of, I think the only thing he wasn't in was Weekend Update.
Right, and I was expecting him to somehow get in there, but
yeah,
I love the Weekend Update. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, but anyway, I know it was all derailing a bit, but just to the point of, it's weird, it's awkward because I know someone who literally worked with him, and he's kind of a douche. It sounds like in real life, like not necessarily a bad guy, just like douchey.
I would reserve judgment on that point until I've had an experience interacting with him.
I'm just saying that I have a very close friend who worked with him repeatedly, whose opinion I trust. So
sure, it's not
like hearsay from someone online. It's someone who like I literally is one of my best friends.
My point is everybody has a day here and there.
Yeah, but like it wasn't one day. Like this person worked with him over the course of months.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. That's neither here nor there. I do think he's a talented actor. At times, I just find him off-putting. And that, like, I don't think that's necessarily like what I'm supposed to be experiencing in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
I do think he was good as Kylo Ren in general. I think that character was annoying, but I think the character was supposed to be annoying, and it was still better written by like a billion times than Anakin was.
Mm-hmm.
So, but regardless, I think I would probably pick him for this, just from what I'm hearing, and it's. I think that he will be the one to win. It's funny that this is the one that we're so like you were like, oh no, it's going to be Joaquin, I think.
Yeah.
And for him, I'm like, oh, I feel like it's going to be him.
I feel like the previous award shows and like buzz has been very strong around this category and the one that we just did, where we did Actress, where Renee Zellweger is up. And like those two have been consistently pulling in awards, so I just feel like I don't think much is going to change. Usually, you could use the other shows as a barometer for like how this is going to go. Sure, there's upsets and there's differences, which I'm glad, because otherwise it would be kind of silly at this point to watch it because all of the other award shows have aired. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's the way it's going to go, especially with the reception that he's been getting when he wins. So we'll see. You know, I would like Adam Driver to get it, but okay. I just don't. I think that it's probably going to go to Joaquin Phoenix.
I realized that we screwed up a few minutes ago.
100%.
And that we already did actress in a leading role, so we're going to do actress in a supporting role now.
Doing it live.
We have Kathy Bates in Richard Jewell. We have Laura Dern in Marriage Story. Scarlett Johansson again in Jojo Rabbit.
Good for her being in.
I still find weird. It's weird that someone can be nominated for two things. Florence Pugh for Little Women, and Margot Robbie for Bombshell.
Oh man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't know her real name.
Who?
Florence Pugh.
Florence Pugh.
Yep, I knew Amy. I didn't realize she was up. And until this is tough. This is a tough one. Ooh, my pick. You go first. I'm having a hard time here.
I've seen one of these 5 roles. I was impressed with Scarlett Johansson, actually, in Jojo Rabbit. So by default, I guess technically she'll be my pick because she's the only one of them that I've seen.
Okay.
I will say that what I've heard, it sounds like it could probably come down between Laura Dern and Kathy Bates.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have much of an opinion, obviously.
So, until today. Also, I don't know, Laura Dern has been in 90% of the movies I've seen this year. I'm just going to throw that out there. She's just always there, and I'm fine with it. She's great. It's just like, I love having that. She is the embodiment of John Mulaney's skit on Fund Mom Energy. And she's just tremendous. She was really good in Marriage Story. She was like, she flip-flops between like cutthroat and personal, like in a second. Like, it's ridiculous, and it's awesome to watch. She's really good. And I'm torn between her and Florence Pugh. Is it Pugh?
I don't know, actually.
I'm torn between Laura and Florence. I'm gonna leave her last name out of it.
It feels like you have one of those weird things where it's like just the most recent thing you saw is really impressing upon you.
Yeah, that's not the case here. There was something that so you know why? And she took me on a roller coaster through this movie. Of early on in Little Women, I couldn't stand her. I was like, you bitch. Like, you're the worst human being that there is in this world. And that's not true. I don't mean that strongly. But she was really getting under my skin. And then they just give you like 5 minutes with her, and you get into this, like, into her head and understand her decisions and the way that she did things and why and like all of a sudden the rest of the performance had so much more to it. And I was just like, holy shit. I was like, that was really good. And when the movie ended, I was like, God, this was good. So I'm going to go with, she's my vote. I think Laura Dern will win.
Okay. I didn't mean to accuse you.
No, that's fine.
It was funny because,
people accuse me of all sorts of things when it comes to movies and what I like.
It was just funny because, like, it's like two roles that, like, I wouldn't have said were the more hyped ones in their categories. Plus, you just threw in Timothée Chalamet, too, who wasn't nominated. Yeah. And I was like, man, this movie really stuck with him. Is it just because he saw it, like, right now, or was it that good? Because shit.
Fun fact, Laura Dern, also in Little Women. Would have been awesome if it was like Laura Dern, Marriage Story, Laura Dern, Little Women. Has that happened before? Has a character been up in the category twice?
I was gonna say she like tried to one up ScarJo getting nominated for actress and supporting actress.
Yeah,
I would be best actress or best supporting actress twice in this category.
Ooh, I'm gonna come in first and second.
2 bites at the apple.
But yeah. You know, I'm going with Florence just because that character took me by surprise, and Laura Dern should probably win. It was funny because before I was torn between Laura Dern and Scarlett Johansson, and then but I ultimately picked Laura Dern, I believe, like when we first looked at this list, and now I'm going the other way with a new character that I hadn't seen yet. Now I really want to see Bombshell. I'm very curious. Unfortunately, I have no interest in seeing Richard Jewell.
I don't really have that. That feels like I'm super bored and it just happened to pop up on HBO. I might watch it type of movie.
That's like I'm depressed and want to feel worse. Like that's what that movie feels like to me. You put that on when you really just want to sink into it.
Well. Oh god. Sorry, I was flipping through the Oscar nominees. To try and find adapted screenplay, and I passed by sound editing, and I saw Ford vs. Ferrari there. Ford vs. Ferrari there, and I was like, "Yeah, Ferrari there." And I was like, "Man, that did have some interesting sound," because I did feel like I was at a racetrack as it was blasting me in the fucking face from my soundbar.
You know what else that movie has a lot of? Shifting.
What?
Just all of these movies have a tremendous amount of shifting.
And that's how you know it's realistic.
It's only better in the Fast and the Furious when they shift and there's only 2 pedals. That's the best. This is just.
I guess I've never noticed that before.
Oh yeah, there are some clear shifts and then slamming on a double wide brake pedal in those movies. But no, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of shifting for already going 200 miles an hour. I don't know.
No, I did find it pretty realistic in Ford versus Ferrari because like he was doing. See, I think I really sold it there because I was looking off screen when I did it, and it sounded super casual.
Yeah, you got me. You did get me.
No, I did think it was pretty realistic because, like, you know, he was doing it as he's approaching curves and stuff like that. And it's like they did have attention to detail on that, which I appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, let's do best adapted screenplay. So we have The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, and The Two Popes.
Okay.
I have very little interest in The Irishman or Joker winning this.
Yeah. I don't... What? Okay, so we're gonna... Honestly, I read through these before. We were doing the show. Right before we started, we were discussing which of the categories we wanted to sink our teeth into. And I had thrown out the writing categories because I'm interested in them. This was one of the ones that I was very interested in. I don't understand... I don't fully get what qualifies adapted versus original. I thought I did. And then Joker is on there. And I don't really get it. Because it's not a story that... is it because the character is adapted into the situation?
Yes, it's because it's based on IP.
Okay, so that's the key?
I believe so, at least in this case, yes.
Is 1917 then in the wrong category?
Well, no, because
it's the world's IP.
No, but it was based on... It was a fictional account of events that the writers and director came up with based on his recollections of stories his grandfather told him from actually being in the war.
We should change this to writing based on no shit and writing based on some shit. That would be awesome.
Well, because like it would have been like adapted screenplay if it was based on his. It probably would have been based on adapted. It would have been adapted screenplay if it was based on his grandfather's actual account of like the Battle of the Somme or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would be my guess. You know what I mean? Because like The Irishman the movie is based on a book that is a supposedly nonfiction account of that guy's life.
Yeah.
And The Two Popes, the same thing. You know, well, I don't know if it's based on a book specifically, but it's based on the real life encounters and transition of power between the two popes, Benedict and Francis.
So, what's your pick for this one?
Well, thankfully, unlike some of the other categories, I saw 3 of these 5 movies. Like I said, I have zero interest in Irishman and Joker winning, so by default, and I don't feel bad about it, I would go with Jojo Rabbit, just because I enjoyed that movie.
I would be... so I'm on the fence with this one. I'm actually my pick is Jojo Rabbit because I need to give this movie some recognition, and it's not going to get the other ones for me.
Yeah, but
I really liked Jojo Rabbit. I also am dying to see a Taika Waititi acceptance speech, and is he going to be in the uniform? Like, what's he going to do on Sunday? Is my question.
Oh my God, he cannot go up as Adolf Hitler, dude. He cannot do that.
I wouldn't put it past him. Anyway, Jojo Rabbit.
I could maybe see him doing like a line in that ridiculous accent, but that's about it.
Jojo Rabbit was just really. I really thought that was a great movie. It
was very well written, yeah. So like I'm good with it.
Yeah. So
I was surprised you didn't go with Little Women there.
So well, here was my one thing there, and that is that I didn't read the. Did you read Little Women?
Mm-mm.
So I need to consult somebody who has read it, or I need to read it myself. I fear that it wasn't so much adapted.
Well, the thing is, I don't know how the Academy, and I don't think you can use the Academy as like a catch-all term in this case. I don't know how they treat this one if it's based on its fidelity to the thing it's adapting, or just its inherent quality of its own and acknowledging the fact that it's adapted from something else. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that historical accuracy or, page-to-screen accuracy, for the most part, I'm sure there are some voters that do take it into account, but I don't think that's the case. Because I'm sure that every person who's watching one of these movies hasn't read the source material.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not. It's interesting. I'm just curious. I need to either read it or talk to someone, just because I am genuinely curious myself. I don't remember what has been like going well in this category before. What do you think's gonna win?
My guess is The Irishman's gonna win.
You think okay?
Because I know that amongst like people who are voters, although surprisingly, that voter I mentioned earlier, anonymous voter that was like telling their ballot, hated The Irishman like as much as we did. Thought all of the movie, the performances, all that were severely overrated by the field. So it was not that person's pick. I don't remember what they chose, but that was not the one.
Yeah. I don't know what I think's gonna win this. This is a toss up. I'm gonna say that I think Joker might win. I'm not sure.
For all the things for it to fucking win, you think it's gonna win this? Like, it's nominated for 11 things, which is ridiculous. Like, it does not. Even if you like the movie, like it's not anything special that it should be nominated for that many things.
Yeah, I guess it really comes down to what does adapted, like what are you looking for, what are they looking for in adapted screenplay?
My read on it in general would be the best overall screenplay that happens to be adapted from something else.
Because I gotta, without seeing, again, this is not a fair criticism, and I don't really know if it's criticism so much, but out of Little Women and The Irishman, two things that I didn't read the source material, it felt like almost a verbatim, like, adaptation. And that's what makes me wonder of, like, is it more so The Irishman because it felt like reading a hard-to-get-through book. But I don't know, Jojo Rabbit felt very fit for the screen. And that's what makes me think that's part of the reason why I want it to win.
Okay. Joker,
there were certain aspects of it that felt like a comic book come to life. Some of the more gritty graphic novels come to life, which I think in that aspect, I think did a good job. I get Two Popes we haven't seen, so I'm not really sure. I think I'll just, if I had to just wager, I guess I would say Joker for now.
Okay. It's funny, for this category, I don't know what the breakdown of people will feel like on this, but for something like director or picture, I think it's going to be a very big, quote-unquote, old school, new school split. Because I think old school voters are going to put that dead last. Because they're going to see it for the pastiche of that it is, you know what I mean, of the Scorsese films, and the newer school ones who, like, don't know or don't care about that so much may be more generous towards it. Mm-hmm. That would be my guess.
Yeah. And interesting, in that split, can something else come and win?
Well, because the inverse will be true as well. I think the older school people will be leaning more towards something like The Irishman, whereas the newer school probably would be more aligned the way we are. So yeah, I think that it's kind of like, I think there's a chance for director and picture that those two cancel each other out, kind of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. All right, well.
Let's move on to writing for original screenplay. We have Knives Out by Rian Johnson, Marriage Story by Noah Baumbach, 1917 by Sam Mendes and someone else whose name was cut off, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood by Quentin Tarantino, and Parasite by Bong Joon-ho.
1917 is Sam Mendes and Christy Wilson Cairns.
No, it'd be nice for me to see that, but for some reason I just got and then an ellipses.
Nice. This one's very easy for me. This one is, in my opinion, like my clear winner here is Knives Out. Is 100% Knives Out. That is of this list, of any list for me this year, original writing in a screenplay, it's Knives Out every day, all day. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood will probably win.
Yeah, I'm actually split. I think that the most likely to win would be either Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or Parasite. Although I would lean towards Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The one I would really want to win is Knives Out. I just don't know if it'll be taken seriously enough by the voters of the Academy.
I don't think it will, but it'll be the winner in my book.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, my desire for it to win doesn't necessarily translate to like what I would vote if I was being 100% serious. Like, this is my serious ballot if I had a vote. Because I think I would actually probably go with Parasite for this one, despite my love for Johnson and Knives Out. But I don't think it's unreasonable for it to be in this. I think it's deserving in this category to be mentioned among them. So
yeah.
But I agree. I think that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is the most likely to win.
Yep. I'm with you.
All right, so then we're going to have director. I got to find that because I fucking lost that one somewhere up here.
They're very out of order.
Yeah, this is annoying me a lot. Like,
actually, they're in alphabetical order.
Is that what it is?
At least on the... Are you on the Oscars site?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it looks like it's alphabetical order to me.
See, I would have accepted two things. I would have accepted the order of importance or the order of the way that they do it when they present them, because the order is generally about the same, right? Don't they do, like, supporting actress and actor pretty early, and then the last two are, like, director and picture?
Yeah.
If they'd done it in that order, or if they'd done it in, like, order of relative importance, this alphabetical thing's not working for me. So, for directing, we have The Irishman, Martin Scorsese, Joker, Todd Phillips. It's so weird that they're both nominated in this year. 1917, Sam Mendes, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Quentin Tarantino, Parasite, Bong Joon-ho.
This is the only category where I believe my pick is the pick. 1917 needs to win directing.
It's funny. I mean, the only... I would be okay with 1917, Parasite, or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood winning. Even though I didn't really love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I get why it's up for it. I get why people 100%. Like it. Like, I get why people would vote for it. The other two, I just don't get.
Joker and Irishman? Yeah. I
just don't get them.
Honestly, I think Knives Out should be up for directing also.
Yeah.
I was yeah.
Also, how about this? Like, a movie that's nominated for other stuff. Like, how about Ford vs. Ferrari? Why isn't that nominated? Why isn't Little Women nominated?
That's a really good question. So I have a theory on this one, and it's probably wrong. Actually, I don't have as much of a theory on Ford vs. Ferrari. I think that's actually I think it was a well-directed movie. I was pretty much engaged the entire way through. I think that they like the way they shot it was. You were able to tell what was coming, but that was because of the way that they did the storytelling through the lens. I thought it was really, I thought it was good. Little Women, I was talking to Kim a little bit about this in the car and on the way home from the movie. And there were a handful of things that were a little bit jarring that I do think were directing related, which I think maybe nixed points and got it off the list.
Well, I read something a few weeks ago. Someone said 2 actresses are nominated for it, and it's nominated for a screenplay award. So how is the director and picture like not on the table for this?
The picture's on the table.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry. So why isn't the director on? Oh, so there you go. It's got a Best Picture nominee, 2 actress nominees, and a writing nominee. Why is the director nominee not on the table as well? It's a really valid point.
Oh, absolutely, it is valid. I'm trying to figure out like if there's a reason. What is it? There were in the movie. There were a couple times where I had like shook myself out of like being kind of thrown, and they were director decisions that threw me. And that's my only guess. And it is actually a similar thing that happened twice, but there's a lot of time jumping in the movie. There is not a clear indication of the jump when it's happening, because we're talking a range of about, I think it's like 7 years. It could be maybe 10, up to 10, depending on how I didn't fully follow. But the characters, the style, there's not enough differentiation between the time frames. And it takes a minute to get your bearings as to, wait, when is this? And that, I believe, is a fault of direction.
It's funny, though, but then wouldn't that same critique go just as much to screenplay as well?
No, I don't think so, because when you realize, when you piece, because it's a visual thing, and honestly, it really is, like, it has to do with watching the screen and the way that it's cut and not being able to immediately tell the jump has happened.
I guess what I'm saying is if you visually can't tell that there's been a change in time period, and it takes you a while to figure it out, does that mean then that the screenplay is also not?
No, I don't think so, because I think it's the screenplay that helps you realize you have.
Okay.
I think the screenplay has the strength.
I didn't see it. That's
No. It's a valid question. I think that's my only guess. Is it right? Probably. Is it probably not? I don't know. I'm just saying that would be my guess. It didn't.
Okay.
Watching the movie, really, really enjoying the movie. I didn't think, wow, like, I don't know. I compare when I think directing, I was like, how close to Christopher Nolan is this? Because he's my favorite. And it's like, I never had that. I thought the characters were strong. The performances were incredible. The writing was really good. Actually, some of the cinematography is beautiful. The scenery, the set design, production, it's all very good. The only things that during the movie that I took issue with watching the movie were certain choices made by the director. And that's why I was a little bit, that's why I'm not so much, and I don't want it to be a whole thing, because there's a lot of articles out there that Greta Gerwig was snubbed. It's like, I don't necessarily sure, it begs the question of is there give me a reason why. And this is, I'm giving you a reason. I don't know if it's right. This is just my take on it. It probably wouldn't have gotten my nominee, but some of these other options wouldn't have either. So
yeah. Well, I will say I've always found it curious. I mean, I know this is kind of telling on myself, being somewhat unrefined in the field, right? But I've always found it a little odd for a movie to be nominated for directing or picture, but not the other one. Mm-hmm. And it's more common for it to be nominated for picture than directing, because there's twice as many slots available.
Yeah. What was this happened? This has happened a few times in the past few years, and Argo comes to mind. That was picture, not director. Again, same thing. It's interesting. That one, but that one I disagreed with more so because I was a fan of how that movie was directed. I liked the execution there.
Yeah.
This one, it was mostly there and fine. I think the strengths were in all of the other parts of the movie.
Okay. Well, I will say 3 of these 5 for directing seem to me to be very well deserving. 2 of them less so. And I gave up 2 options of things that I thought were better. Now, I get The Irishman was always going to be nominated for this, right? Mm-hmm. So we're really fighting for 2 other movies to steal Joker's spot. Ford vs. Ferrari. I did it again.
Jesus, that one was not even on purpose.
No, it wasn't. 2 out of 3 have not been on purpose. I don't know why Ford vs. Ferrari wouldn't be on here, because I don't think that any of the performances were really incredible. Actually, probably the best of them, and it's very small amounts, was Tracy Letts as the Deuce. But he was too small a role to be for supporting actor. Mm-hmm. But I didn't think that Bale or Demon was so great in this movie. They were both good, but not worthy of actors. But if it's a Best Picture contender, and you didn't have tremendous performances, and you didn't have a quote-unquote tremendous script, wouldn't that mean that the guy who directed the hell out of it?
Right. It's got to, if you're getting all this recognition, there's got to be something. It's either the sum of all of these parts that make it that good, or there's one in particular thing that's really bringing it up. And
I guess what I'm saying is, if it's the sum of all the parts, the guy who directed it is the glue that's bringing those parts together.
Right, which is funny, because they could do it in both ways. It could either be the sum of all these little things, or there could just be some standout piece of the direction, right? That happens, that makes it so good. I don't really know. You could easily replace the top 2 on this, that on that list that I agree with you, and that could take a spot. I've got my issues with Ford versus Ferrari. Is it V? Do you say V like a lawsuit? How do you do this? It is a V.
That's a good point.
There's no V. There's no S. So Ford v Ferrari. Yeah. Honestly, it wouldn't be on here for me, but I get what you're saying in the context of it's recognized in other spots of this list. I don't know. But between you and me, it's between those 3 that we mentioned: 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite. My pick, and the one that I do think will win, is 1917. And I really think that the movie deserves to win. I think the directing in that movie is unreal.
It's funny because like my heart wants to kind of go with Parasite, but I do think I would go with 1917. But I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood will be the one that actually wins.
Interesting.
Even though I don't agree, I think that I just wonder if there's any sort of pushback to the, because there's going to be so many people who go and vote for 1917 on the back of the amount of work that goes into making this movie that's been cut a bunch of times look like it's only one cut, right? Mm-hmm. There is a lot of
that's film editing, though, right?
Yes. So yeah, I guess it could very well.
It's also cinematography. I imagine it's up for, and it's probably no contest.
It is definitely up for it. I don't know if it's no contest, but it's definitely up for it. But yeah, I would go with it. But I wonder if there's enough people who are pushing back against it, like, oh, it's a gimmick, like blah blah blah, like anyone could do it type of thing. You know what I mean? Mm. Like, and I just think there's a lot of love for Tarantino out there, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if that wins. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which leaves us then with Best Picture.
Dun dun.
There's Ford v Ferrari.
Was that one on purpose?
Yeah, that one was on purpose.
Hang on. Okay, so this really, I'm gonna allow you to be angry at this list now, and here's why. The list was, what order is this in? Oh, it's alphabetical. Except for Best Picture is under P.
No, it's under B.
For me, it's under P.
Oh, it's the top of the list for mine.
Oh. I'm on the Oscars.org website.
I'm on Oscars.go.com/nominees.
What the hell is that? Why do we have two different lists? Why are they in two different orders? Why is mine in alphabetical order, and why is B in between production and music?
Well, because it's clearly P is between those things. I'm guessing that mine is not the Academy's website; it's the ABC website. It's the website for the show, the Oscars, not the Academy's Oscars.
Right.
Anyway, Ford v Ferrari, The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite. And also, I'm finally realizing, because I've been really thrown off by 1917's order in these lists, because numbers would typically either be before the letters or after the letters, and it's only just now that I'm realizing that it's the N in 19. That's actually really
it's
pissing
wrong.
Me off.
Yeah, it should actually be first.
It should be first or last. I don't care.
I mean, granted, the alphabetical order on my list is fine. So it's right in the middle is where it's supposed to be, from what I understand.
Well, anyway, we have 9 nominees this year. We've talked about Parasite, 1917, Hollywood, Jojo Rabbit, Irishman, and Joker. So we've done 6 of these. We've done episodes on 6 of these 9 movies. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on what would you choose?
Okay. We've got a lot of...
Actually, first, let's start with this. Is there anything that you felt was a huge omission from this list?
That's a really good question. I was going to start off with, this list is too long.
Well, whether you were replacing, whether you were
that's
adding,
tough.
Was there anything that you felt?
I'm going to do this live. I'm pulling out the phone. I am going to the wallet. I am opening up my tickets for movies last year. And I'm gonna scroll through real quick. I'm gonna read. These are only the Cinemark movies that I saw, so I'm gonna read through them, and I will say yes or no should be on the list. Okay.
Okay.
Star Wars, no. Knives Out, yes. Last Christmas, no. Frozen 2, maybe. Motherless Brooklyn, probably more deserving than a lot of these movies. Dr. Sleep, 100% should be on the list.
Dr. Sleep!
Zombieland Double Tap, no. Joker, no. Like, again, and I liked the movie. I just don't think that it's a Best Picture option here.
Well, you really liked Star Wars, too.
Yeah.
Clearly not Best Picture.
Same. It Chapter 2, nope. Spider-Man Far From Home, no. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, sure. The Lion King, no. Toy Story 4, maybe.
The animateds go in their own category.
Yeah. John Wick, no. Aladdin, no. Pokemon Detective Pikachu, no. Batman 30th Anniversary, forgot about that. Yes. Avengers Endgame, I mean, for me, sure. But no. Shazam, no. 5 Feet Apart, no. Us?
Eh.
Huh? I don't know. I'm on the fence with that one. I didn't love it, but it definitely, maybe directing. The movie was well made. It just wasn't really for me.
You know what? I would put it for. Well, actually, we'll talk about snubs. She should have been nominated.
Oh,
for
yeah.
Best
Yeah,
Actress.
definitely.
That's a snub.
Absolutely.
I would put cinematography. And I would probably do, like, score as well.
We have
or sound editing, maybe.
Captain Marvel, no. Alita Battle Angel, nope. Glass, no. Bumblebee, God, no. Oh, now we're in January, which were movies that were actually nominated last year, so I'm not going to go into those. Yeah, so there's, a couple things there. This list is too long. I don't think that Ford vs. Ferrari, The Irishman, Joker should be on it. I don't think.
I disagree. I think actually Ford v Ferrari should be on here. Joker, Irishman shouldn't be on here. I would add Dr. Sleep. It's funny. I know we both liked it. I know you surprisingly liked it a lot. I liked it a lot. And I wasn't really. I was like, you know what? If I mention it, is Anthony gonna laugh at me? I'm glad that you said it before I did because you know what? I agree. It should be.
Let me say here's why. That movie had more so with me than most had a lot more to overcome. I am an outlier when it comes to not liking The Shining. Yeah. I love
and also you went into the movie expecting to not like
absolutely, which as a movie lover, that's probably in its best interest is me setting the bar really low because when it comes to movies, I'm not rooting against the movie. I'm just setting my expectations. I don't want it to be bad. I want it to be good. So it's really the best case scenario is you.
No, but sometimes when you go in with that attitude, you're more inclined to poke holes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's probably true of my critique of other things. At the end of the day, anytime I go to the movies, I want to enjoy it. I really do.
Sure.
I don't go in like let me see what's going to be wrong with this that I could write down. I want to like it. And you know what? Can we that's also that's how a lot of people that do reviews that I've read, I feel approach this type of stuff. And it's like, what are you doing? Go to like it. Go to be a fan. Root for it.
I don't know. I guess well. I can understand. I can understand if you're a critic and you watch, let's say, 60 movies over the course of the year for your job, not because you're watching it. You're doing more than a movie per week for your job.
Yeah.
And I could totally see if you've been doing that for 30 years that, we're doing another Marvel movie or something like that. You know what I mean? Another gangster movie or whatever. I could totally see that being.
I don't think they do that though. They don't say, another gangster movie. Clearly, it's on this list 100,000 times. I'm kidding.
No,
I'm kidding. I'm just making my snide comment about The Irishman.
The thing is, I agree with you that many of them are that, but there are some that are the polar opposite of that, right? There's, I'm sure, for every 5 of them that said that, there's one of them who was like, "So are we really doing another war movie? Are we really doing another gangster movie?" You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. What I was getting at, though, was of this list, the list is too long. They extended the list. It should have been extended in the year to include The Dark Knight, and it wasn't. And now the list is really long, and some things got on the list, and it kind of diminishes the accomplishments of some of the other movies, in my opinion. The last 5 movies on the list are the ones that deserve it, I think.
Well, I was going to say, though, is the one thing I'll say is, they didn't nominate the full 10 that they had an option to. Right?
Yes, that's true. So where's Dr. Sleep? Come on, give me some.
Yeah, you might as well. But no, you're right. 10 is probably too much. Maybe 8 would probably be good.
No. 5. Have a harder time. It's not on me. It's on you guys.
I will say I agree with you. Just understand that if it was still 5, the 5 in this case, this year, and it's not fair to say that because other years it wouldn't be true per se, but if you're gonna just pick 5 from this list, the Academy would choose Irishman, Joker, Hollywood, 1917, Ford v Ferrari, and Parasite is more worthy than a bunch of those movies. Little Women seems like it's more worthy than a couple of those movies. And there's people who've raved about Marriage Story. So, and And the funny thing is, as much as I like Jojo Rabbit, I don't know that it's not Best Picture.
Exactly. I'm with you.
Really.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to revamp the Oscars system. We're going to do 5 picks for each category, and we're going to give out a bronze, silver, and gold. I'm very curious a lot of the times, who came in second? I want to know who's second.
La La Land.
Burn! I fear you're going to say the same thing as before. Officially, my pick for best will be Little Women, and it is greater. There's a lot of parts there that make it that the best picture for me. I like Little Women the best out of these movies. I think.
Wait, Little Women past 1917 for you?
Yeah, for best picture, yes. Yeah,
wow.
Like
okay.
it got
because a few weeks ago that was what was really standing strong for you.
So luckily I am fortunate enough that my wife loves movies the way that I love movies, and we talk about these things, and I love seeing a movie with her and talking about it afterwards, and we're always on like we watched all the Oscar movies together. We do every year, and it was like we were talking about it like after the movie was over. I looked at her. I was like, "That was good." Good. And she's like, I think that was my favorite. I was like, me too. and we both went in going like, we're just seeing it because it's on the list. That's how we felt about it going in. It's just on the list. That's why. Got to see them all. Got to check them all so that our opinion is at least we've seen everything and we can have our choice based on what we like of all of the options. But we do this show. We're 100 and something episodes in when you count bonuses. We're like 20 maybe.
Yeah.
I love the movies. You love the movies. I love the way movies make me feel. I love that they can put me on a roller coaster. I love that I can feel really happy, really sad. I love that I can get involved with characters. I love that I can escape for a minute. It just takes me to I love movies the most out of things. Like things, not people, of things. I love movies. Like, I like video games. I like computers and technology. I love movies. And certain movies can have like a physical response to it, right? You get chills, you tear up, you feel something when you're watching them. There were 2 movies on this list that got that reaction out of me. One was Little Women, and one was 1917. Little Women did it more times throughout the movie. And it was just, I was invested, heavily invested. And again, I had voted for the character, Florence, because I was gonna say her name in the movie, but her actual name is Florence. I vote for her because of like the roller coaster that she put me on through that movie. Like she's like, I think that character like, Saoirse Ronan, great. That character might have made me feel more throughout the movie because, again, I don't think that I've ever gone full 180 on a character the way that I did for that character. Where I was like, I hate you. like for like, I don't know, 65% of the movie. And then at the end, I was like, oh, damn. And like, way to sell that. Like, I don't know. Anyway, Little Women's my pick for Best Picture. I've rambled way too long.
Okay, that's your pick. Then what do you pick for what you think will win?
I think Parasite's going to win.
Really? Okay.
Yep. I think Parasite's getting Best Picture. And not offended.
No, I think it's very much a worthy choice. I would say my top 3 for this would be 1A, 1B would be 1917 Parasite. And then I actually really liked Ford v Ferrari. It was a good, very good movie. I was compelled from start to finish, and I'm not really like I'm not a racing fan at all. Like I've watched half an hour of one NASCAR race, so like it's like not really like my thing. So like Talladega Nights is fun.
So what's your pick one? You got to make a cutthroat decision. What's your pick?
My choice would just barely be 1917.
Okay, what do you think's gonna win?
I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Best Picture, really?
Yes. I think that it's up between that and 1917. But again, if I have to choose what I think will win, I think it's going to be Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Okay. Well, now that the reason I asked you that to clarify that is I want to dive a little bit deeper into Ford v Ferrari since we've both seen it, and we're exiting Oscar season. We're probably not going to do an episode on it.
Yeah.
So I'd like to dive into that a little bit. I was watching the movie, and the whole time I had something wasn't sitting right with me about it. And now, granted, I also didn't know the story. Did you know the story beforehand?
No.
Okay, I didn't know the story, which, boy, oh boy, did that take me by surprise. But anyway, watching the movie, there was something it wasn't quite sitting right with me. Was that it was I don't know how else to put this other than it was a little too meatheady for me. Like the guy, it was just like a bunch of guys butting heads, and I'm not interested in that story.
I mean, are you surprised by that, considering the material?
Nope. Hang on. Okay, so that's let me be clear. Not surprised by that. It just it surprises me that it's up for Best Picture.
You know what surprised me? John Bernthal was actually playing a good guy.
How about maybe his best role? Like he was really strong as that character. I've never seen him play. Like I feel like I got more out of that character and more into his head based on what he was playing and the things that he was doing than some of the characters that were on screen. Like the majority of the movie, he did a really good job.
Yeah,
in
fact they probably should have given him a little bit more, especially when you consider like how important of a person like Lee Iacocca was in like the history of this country, in the history of the auto industry. And this is him before he was capital L Lee Iacocca like in the world. But yeah, it's so against the type of roles that he typically plays. There was like
his characters usually are me against the world, exuding confidence. This guy is like, last shot, I feel, and the way
he's very precarious, like desperate, but like ultimately he's trying to do what's right, not just trying to cover his own ass. Mm-hmm. When you contrast him against Josh Lucas's character, who was just so slimy, and
I feel like the listeners can hear my facial expression. That if you've seen the movie, you can hear my face. Like,
he plays slimy well. Like Josh Lucas did a good job too. And actually, I thought Tracy Letts did really well. He was in Lady Bird. He played the father, and I know him better for Homeland. He was on a couple of seasons of Homeland, just coming out on new season. Final season's starting on Sunday. Which I'm kind of excited for, but
That movie, it was a series of being like it felt like being up for a second and losing money like 15 times over. That's what that movie was. Not saying not saying that's a bad thing. Like that's what I feel like that's kind of what they were. You watching that movie, I feel like you experienced it the way that Miles is experiencing life.
Yeah,
and which I believe is the intention. And kudos, well done. You nailed that piece of it. I was just like, by the end of it, I was just sad. I mean, I know you're gonna get like, obviously, it's a sad story. I didn't know how sad of a story it was until I saw the movie. I had no idea. I definitely thought that Matt Damon's voiceover was the end of the movie, and then it's like, also this happened, and I was like, what? Like it definitely took me by surprise. I didn't know anything about this.
I will say it was a little odd, disjointed for me was how they chose to end it. I would have expected it kind of like the voiceover and then maybe like a bit of a text block to end it right after the crash.
I was expecting that before, so that's actually crazy. I was expecting that before the crash, and I didn't think it was. I didn't think what happened.
Really?
I didn't know. No, I'm saying I didn't know until I watched the movie, the history of this. I didn't know what was going to happen.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, I didn't know either. But what I'm saying is, once it happened, like I expected that. It's like it was a nice moment, like him going to find the sun, but it felt a bit
little Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, like it was just a little gratuitous. Like I think it could have just ended the way
What
it
if
did.
instead of giving the wrench to the kid, he throws it at the screen and goes, "How about them apples?"
No, that is not the right way to end that movie.
Standing ovation. This is in the same universe as Good Will Hunting? This is ridiculous. That's what he does?
I did think
he can make this incredible car because he's so good at math. Like, it's insane.
I could never 100% tell, like, we get the most look into Miles's life and family, and yet it still felt like Matt Damon's the main character of the movie.
Yeah, it was weird.
So I was a little confused why we didn't get anything at all about, like, him and his life. And maybe there's just no story to tell. Maybe it's just like, oh yeah, he's just a dude.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, we never saw anything about a wife and kids, so I don't know.
It's funny.
Probably didn't have one.
If the movie was that far ahead and those actors were nominated, it would have been Matt Damon would have been if the performance were worthy and like they were up for it. He would have been up for best actor, and Christian Bale would have been up for best supporting actor, and then we both would have been like, it definitely. You would have had that minute of like, wait a minute, is that right?
That's happened to me a few times with movies. I can't think of one right off the top of my head, but like I know sometime in the last 5 years that happened. And I was like, shouldn't that be the other way around? You were like,
her?
Well, it's funny, because like we talked about it last week with Parasite, where like the father is the one like who's like named in the synopsis, like his family, this and that. It's like he felt like the third most important character of that family.
Mm-hmm. Very strange.
But regardless, no, I thought this was a good movie. I just thought I was really compelled by it. That's what the reason I highlighted Tracy Letts was that scene where he takes him in the car and he breaks down crying. Totally shocked me, and I was like, wow, what a little bitch. And then you realize what it is he's actually crying about.
That got me too. I was like, all right.
Oh my god.
All right, guy, I hate this entire movie. Like, relax.
Right?
And then he tells you that, and you're like, and then you get a couple of, then you think about your dad. Like, I don't know. It's like it's a very strange.
Well, it was a whole thing about this when this movie came out, how this was a peak dad movie. And like, there was like, I think like a whole week of like Ringer articles about how this was like peak dad movie.
It's definitely, it is a very solid flick to go see with your father.
Yeah, which is why it's nominated for Best Picture.
Because a bunch of guys did it? Is that what you're saying?
No, because it's like, you can't tell me that the Oscars in general, I'm not saying there weren't exceptions, like Moonlight is not a dad movie, and it won Best Picture. And, it sounds like it was warranted. I never actually saw the movie.
Good movie.
But so much of like Irishman, dad movie. Ford vs. Ferrari. That was an accidental one.
Oh my god.
Ford vs. Ferrari, dad movie.
I want to know what it is about is it just so many R's that it breaks you?
It's the Ford verse part, because I've said the word Ferrari in my life a million times.
Are you saying Ferrari? Are you putting a D in it or a T in it?
A D, I guess.
I wish you just went a Q? Like what? Like, how do you pronounce words?
The point is, I've said and thought the word so many times in my life, and today is the only time I've ever done that to that word. So I don't know what's happening. It must just be the Ford V part, because I've said the word Ferrari a lot of times, or thought it, and there's never been a D in there. Anyway, Ford vs. Ferrari, Irishman, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood are all extremely dad movies. And there's, like, every year, super dad movies that are nominated for Best Picture. Doesn't mean they always win, but, like, that's just, it is a thing.
It has its own category.
Yeah, dad movies is totally a thing. Extreme dad energy will get you nominated for Best Picture. Right, wrong, or indifferent, I don't know. It just is a fact.
Make a bunch of old guys feel something, and you could put it in the Best Picture list. Is that? Yeah.
Yes. That is basically what I'm getting at. But yeah, no, I found it really compelling, this story, and it's not the type of thing that I necessarily feel like, oh, let's have a documentary. Let's tell you the story about Ford going up against Ferrari for the Le Mans race, and I'd be like, pass. The movie was really good.
Yeah. I think the movie had good parts overall. I wasn't thrilled with it, and like I said, there was something about that about the meatheadedness of everything going down that was like, that really took me out of the experience, and it's probably just because I can't relate.
I will say that the actual racing sequences, even though at this stage of my life, this sort of movie, like, is not the thing I'm showing up for. Like, I don't need that adrenaline rush. Like, if I need an adrenaline rush, I can find another way to do it than to watch racing. They had me, like, hooked. The way they were shot and the way that, like, from, like, a visual perspective, the audio, I felt like I was sitting in the inside the body of a car during a race.
You felt like you were really driving that car.
Yeah, and so that was interesting to me. I just thought it was very well made overall.
Yeah, there were the montage sequences, really well done.
Yeah,
felt like I love that. I am a sucker for a good montage or montage-like sequence. I get jazzed up. Like, I really do.
Montage adjacent sequences?
Even do you ever see Hot Rod? They, like, make it known that that's what they're doing, and I think they call it that. I think they say, like, montage sequence? Like they do something ridiculous before they do it, and I'm just like, yes! More of this directly into my veins. Like, I think that's why I like the Fast and Furious movies. It's 90% montage.
The thing is, somehow I've gotten back on board with Fast
yes! Dude, two things happened today. One made you happy, one made me happy. I said that Dr. Sleep should be nominated for Best Picture. And you told me that you're on board with the Fast and Furious. You don't have to tell me you like it. Just that you're on board with it.
Yeah. Well, they're the stupidest thing in the world, but... did you see the tweet I did for the Spin Shoot account on the trailer?
Yes.
I was like, adrenaline mixed with cocaine mixed with, like, human coffee and... straight into my eyeballs. Like, that was an exciting trailer. I think they said way too much in the trailer, or showed way too much in the trailer.
100%.
They
just pull back.
Do every time.
And that's what I don't understand is, like, the tickets are already sold. They don't even have to. They don't even have to edit and distribute a trailer. They could give you a date, an F, and a number, and people are gonna go. Like, it's gonna make the same amount of money either way.
Yeah, I mean, they're colossally stupid. But
car drives off a cliff and is caught by an airplane. Save that. What are you doing?
Or, no, you know what? Show me that. Show me the next car driving towards the cliff. Don't show me how it finishes the job.
Exactly. Yeah. They did that twice. I think cars go off cliffs multiple times in the trailer to resolution. And in ways that would have been surprising.
We got, like, action set piece hook and also action set piece conclusion multiple times. Like, the whole truck sequence where the truck gets flipped up, like, again, don't show me the truck flip.
It just prevents me from that ridiculous. There's a reaction that you have. Let me know if you. I'm sure you had this. Where something ridiculous is happening in the movie, you inch your way to the edge of the seat, and as it happens, you go, and you clap your hands and you pump one fist in the air, and that happened in the trailer. So now there's nothing left. I'm gonna see it. I also want to point out that there's a How Did This Get Made? I think is the podcast. It's with Jason Mantzoukas and what's his name? Andre from the league, the bald guy.
Oh,
Paul something.
Paul Scheer.
They did one on a Hobbs and Shaw, which was if you listen to any of the episodes, listen to that one. It's so funny. It's perfect. They joke about the ghost of Han for the next Fast and Furious movie. And I was like, is this happening? Did they make this happen? Go. Just go watch them all. I'm going to watch one tonight. I'm going to put it on as I go to sleep. That's not true.
But, you'll never be able to get to sleep.
No. Too much adrenaline.
Well, I think that should all probably be enough for this episode.
I believe so.
I was really smart and I wrote up my intro so that I could do it in my very bad British accent, and then I didn't write up a conclusion because I'm an idiot. So that's it for this week's Flix and a Six, which is also this year's Flix and a Whisk.
That's right.
If you'd like to hear more from us, continue listening to this show on its normal Flix in a 6 episodes that we have every week that we typically put out on Fridays.
Sure.
You can follow us on Twitter at The Spin Tune, at AEJ Costanzo, at Alessandro B1187. You can read us at thespinchoon.com, SPINCHOON.com. Thanks for coming out.